Today I'm going to try to hike to the summit of one of Colorado's 14,000 foot peaks so I can take photos from the top. That by itself isn't too hard, but I'm going to do it in the dark, and I'm going to do it in the winter.
Hey there, this is Creation Images, where I share my in-the-field landscape photography, the skills I've learned over 20 years of hiking and backpacking in the wilderness, as well as the insights and the inspirations that I've received along the way. If you're new here, go ahead and click on the subscribe button and ring the bell below so that you can receive notification every time I come up with a new adventure. Anyway, I hope this video is helpful to you, and I really appreciate you being here, so thanks for watching.
Welcome everybody to the inside of my car. This is where I'm going to be spending the night tonight, up at the top of Guanella Pass, which is just above Georgetown. I left Georgetown, Colorado about half an hour or so to get here. I had a nice cozy hotel room down there, and I'm going to leave that there and come up here and sleep in the car. So the plan is to go ahead and get up around 1:30 or so this morning, or tomorrow morning, and get started hiking, hopefully around 2 after having a nice breakfast and getting some hot drinks into my body, hike through the night, and hopefully be up to the summit by sunrise. So where I'm going is the top of 14,000 foot Mount Bierstadt. Now this is one of the more popular mountains here in Colorado to climb, but I am doing it in the winter and in the dark. So that's going to present some unique challenges, and I'm going to be talking about those challenges throughout this video. Thanks for being here, and I hope that you enjoy the trip.
Good morning. Oh boy. Good morning. The biggest challenge I'm going to have today, besides hiking through the dark and getting to 14,000 feet and negotiating my way through a maze of impassable willows in the snow, is going to be trying to stay warm. And so throughout this video, I'm going to be showing you some of the tips that I use to stay warm while I'm trying to take landscape photos of some of the most inhospitable places that you can get to. So hopefully this video will be helpful to you, and we can learn about how to stay warm while up here in the mountains and in the cold and in the dark.
One of the first things that I do to try to keep myself warm is it starts with my feet. If your feet get cold, they're never going to get warm throughout the rest of the day, most of the time, unless you're just working really hard. But when you're trudging through the snow, they just won't get warm. So this is a system called a vapor barrier system. And what we're going to do is start with a polypropylene sock. And then that's going to keep my foot comfortable when I put a plastic bag over that. Now the plastic bag is going to keep my insulation layer warm. So, or it's going to keep my insulation layer dry. Your feet sweat no matter what, even if they're cold. And so that plastic bag is going to keep my foot from getting my insulation sock wet. And so now my insulation is going to be dry. And I'm going to, for good measure, even throw another plastic bag over that. So this sock here is going to stay super dry throughout my whole hike, which in turn will keep my foot warm. Now, another secret with the boots, these are a good insulated winter boot, but what I'm going to do is just tie them loosely. You don't want to have your boots on too tight, because you're going to cut off blood circulation to your feet. So make sure that they're not overly snug.
So one of the mistakes that beginners make when they first start hiking in the winter is they put on too many layers. And so for me, what I've got on today is I've got a wind jacket and a fleece, one small hoodie, and a base layer, a polypropylene base layer. I haven't even gotten out my thick insulation layers yet. Those will come out later on when I'm not moving. But these layers are going to keep me warm while I'm hiking through the night. But I'm going to be working really hard, and I don't want to get overly overheated and sweat into my layers. So you start out a little bit cold, and you'll warm up as you start hiking. All right, so let's talk a little bit more about layers and some ways that you can add and remove layers very easily to regulate your body temperature. So I'll go ahead and start with my hands. I've got some fleece glove liners, which will keep my hands pretty warm, even just with those. And then I always wear mittens. Mittens are way warmer than any glove is ever going to be. So if you're trying to make a fashion statement by not wearing mittens, don't do that. Inside my mittens, I also have a chemical hand warmer. That's going to really keep my hands warm if they do start to get seriously chilled. So that's a system that's really easy. And then the leashes are important too, because I've lost so many things in the snow, in the wind, in the dark, because you drop it in the snow and it's just gone, or the wind would grab it and it's just gone. So the leashes are nice with the mittens, because when my hands get warm, I can just drop the mittens off and keep hiking along. And then when they get cold, I can pull the mittens back on. No big deal, don't have to lose them. Head is another way that you can regulate your body temperature without actually taking off a full layer. So I've got 3 different layers for my head right now. I've got my wind layer from my wind jacket. I've got my Patagonia hoodie, which is more of an insulation layer. And then I've got a regular beanie on underneath that. And so having 3 different layers for my head right now is going to be a great way for me to regulate my body temperature. As I warm up, I can just take off some of those layers. And then again, as I get cold, put those layers back on. So let me show you another quick tip that you can use to regulate body temperature. And this time it's for your legs. Let me stop hiking here for just a moment. So I've got these Arc'teryx wind pants, rain pants, and they are awesome. A little bit pricey, but they are fantastic. And they've got full length zippers, so as my legs get warm, I can just zip that off and get airflow to my legs. And then when the wind kicks up or it gets cold again, I can just zip those right back up. So another way that you can adjust layers without actually taking layers off and on.
As I said earlier, Mount Bierstadt is a pretty popular hike, even in the wintertime. I found conditions much easier than I expected. The trail was packed, there wasn't very much snow, and the Colorado 14ers initiative actually built these boardwalks through the willows, so getting through the willows was very easy as well.
For photographers, when you stop to take photos, that is when you proactively put on all of your layers, because you're going to get cold. I was a little bit chilly. Actually, I got quite a bit chilly on the way up. I'm coming up the trail up over here. But now I've got on all my puffy layers. I've got, this is Western Mountaineering down pants, and a Columbia jacket as well. So you don't want to wait until you start to get cold when you're up here. You want to proactively, as soon as you stop, get on all your layers so you can stay warm. I've got some really great light over there now that sunrise is just about happening. And so I wanted to show you some camera settings and how I use manipulate my camera in really cold conditions like this. What I use is a cable release with a stylus attached to it. Some photographers like to have the mittens that have the little flap over, or the gloves that have the flap over so your fingers can stick out. I prefer to have mittens on so I can keep my hands warm at all times. If I want to be able to see the information, I can just push on the button there, and I've got my histogram and all my data down here. If I want to move my focus point, I can use the stylus on the touch screen. So the stylus is going to help just a ton with keeping my hands warm, because I don't ever have to take my mittens off. If your hands get cold or your feet get cold while you're just standing taking photos, you're most likely going to stop thinking creatively, and you're just going to want to take some pictures as fast as you can and move on to something different. So again, keep the mittens on, use something that you can manipulate your camera with, and that way your creativity doesn't get blown out because you're so cold. Instead, you can just keep shooting. As it turned out, I didn't actually have the summits myself. I got up here, oh man, hour and a half, 2 hours late. But it was kind of cool that I got up here late, because I ran into a mountain goat, big old mountain goat up here. And I got some photos, so let me pull up one of those pictures now so you can see it. I hope that photo turned out. Compositionally and lighting, I think it turned out really well. I was experimenting with the animal eye recognition autofocus on there, and I'm not sure that my mountain goat got completely sharp. So if that's the case, I'm gonna be really disappointed, but hopefully that mountain goat photo turned out great. And now that I'm on the summit, I gonna see if I can find some photos to take. So spent about an hour up here at 14,000 feet, and it was pretty awesome to come across a mountain goat. We had one mountain goat, a few photos of that, and then I spent quite a bit of time just playing with my new, I've got a new 15 millimeter 15 to 24 wide angle lens. So I wanted to spend some time playing with new compositions that allow me to get really close foreground. So I did that up here, and I've been toasty warm in all of these layers. In fact, I had a couple people come by and comment on how many layers I had, and they're asking me if I was warm while they were a little bit chilly with the wind. So definitely a success, and I had no problem at all being creative and thinking while I was up here, because I wasn't cold at all. So anyway, I hope you got something out of this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope it was helpful. If you did, I hope that you would consider subscribing. That was a lot of hoping. So I hope I can get back down, and I will see you next time. Thanks for being here.